Hello and welcome to This Week in Markets. Ever since a full-blown war broke out in West Asia, oil prices have been going over the roof, and this week we saw Brent crude topping $120 per barrel, which is the highest level it has seen in about 4 years. If investors have digested one thing during the past 2 months, it is that oil volatility is here to stay, and they are now playing the long game. And that is why April turned out to be such an interesting month. Because despite crude, despite war risk, despite central bank uncertainty, global equity markets staged a massive comeback. In the US, the Nasdaq Composite rallied 15.3% in April and S&P 500 gained 10.4%, marking their best monthly performance in nearly 6 years. Back home, Indian markets had their own recovery month. The Nifty 50 rallied over 7% in April, while Sensex gained 6.9%. This made April the best month for Indian benchmarks since December 2023. But more importantly, it helped the Nifty snap a 4-month losing streak. After hitting a low of 22,182 on April 2nd, the index rebounded more than 2,400 points in just 11 trading sessions before touching 24,601 on April 21. So yes, April was a comeback month. But this week told us something very clearly: the comeback is still fragile. For the week ended April 30, the Nifty 50 gained just 0.4% while Sensex rose 0.3%. So after a big monthly rally, the market did not really break out further. It paused. And this pause makes sense because the market was caught between two forces. On one side, earnings were not as bad as feared in several pockets, valuations had cooled off after the March fall, and domestic institutions continued to support the market. But on the other side, crude was near $120, the rupee was under pressure, FIIs were still selling, and the Middle East situation had not cooled down. That is the real story of this week. Not panic, not euphoria, just a market trying to figure out whether April's rally has legs. Now let's come to the biggest pressure point, crude. Brent crude went above $120 per barrel this week amid continued uncertainty around the Strait of Hormuz and the broader US-Iran situation. And for India, this is not just an oil market headline. Higher crude means higher inflation risk. It means pressure on the current account. It means more stress on government finances. And the pressure on rupee saw it moving closer to 95 per dollar mark. Now, despite all this, Indian equities did not collapse. The Nifty 50 ended the week just below 24,000 mark. On April 30 itself, the index fell 0.74%, but for the week, it ended marginally higher. The biggest support came from oil and gas, which gained around 3.2% for the week as crude prices surged and upstream names benefited from higher oil prices. Pharma was the next major gainer, rising around 3%, while IT bounced back nearly 2.9% after last week's brutal sell-off. So IT did recover, but remember, this came after the Nifty IT index had lost close to 10% in the previous week, its worst weekly fall since March 2020. Healthcare also stayed strong, gaining around 2.4%, helped by strength in pharma and hospital names. Realty gained around 2%, while media and auto rose around 1.2% and 1% respectively. Metals, FMCG and consumer durables were mildly positive, gaining between 0.5% and 0.7%. But the real pressure was in financials. Nifty PSU Bank was the worst performer, falling 3.7%. Nifty Bank declined 2.2%, Nifty Financial Services fell 1.9% and Nifty Private Bank slipped 1.6%. Among individual stocks, Sun Pharma was one of the biggest gainers, helped by its global acquisition announcement. Tech Mahindra recovered after last week's fall, and Reliance Industries also supported the index. On the losing side, financials were under pressure, with names like Axis Bank, ICICI Bank and Shriram Finance dragging sentiment. Speaking of fund flow, FIIs remained aggressive sellers through the week. From April 27 to April 30, FIIs net sold around 13,771 crore rupees, while the EIS net bought around 11,585 crore rupees. The global macro story this week had also a bit of drama. The US Federal Reserve kept interest rates unchanged at 3.5 to 3.75%. In a rare move, Jerome Powell said he would remain on the Fed board even after stepping down as chair on May 15. It is going to be really interesting with Trump's pick Kevin Warsh as chair, while Powell remains on the Fed board until his term as governor ends in 2028. Back home, there was one more macro data point to watch. India's March IIP growth slipped to a 5-month low of 4.1%, mainly because of softer manufacturing activity and near flat growth in power output. So when you put all this together, the market setup is quite interesting. Coming to what lies ahead, next week will be packed. More than 250 companies are expected to announce their results between May 1 and May 8. Key names include Kotak Mahindra Bank, L&T, M&M, Hero MotoCorp, Bajaj Auto, Pidilite, Lupin, Titan, ABB India and Bank of Baroda. April auto sales data will also be important because it will give a clearer picture of the consumer demand and rural-urban momentum. On the political front, state election results for West Bengal, Assam, Kerala, Tamil Nadu and Puducherry will be announced on May 4th, and these could influence near-term market sentiment. On the macro side, India's PMI data, US PMI numbers, China trade data, and US jobless claims will be watched closely. If there is any positive breakthrough in the US-Iran situation, risk appetite could improve quickly. But if Brent stays above $120 or even moves higher, the same old concerns will be back. Inflation, rupee weakness, FII outflows, and pressure on India's macro stability. So overall, April gave investors hope. From a technical perspective, Nifty is at a crossroads. On the upside, the 24,300 to 24,350 zone remains the key resistance. If Nifty sustains above 24,350, we could see a move towards 24,500 and then 24,700. But on the downside, the 23,800 to 23,750 zone is a crucial support. If that breaks, the index could slip towards 23,600 and then 23,400. The big question is, can the Nifty break above 24,350 and prove that April's rally has legs, or will crude, rupee weakness and FII selling drag the market back below support? That's all for this week. Stay sharp and I'll see you next time. And as always, stay tuned to Fortune India for all the crucial updates from the business world.